meaning a simplified version of the reality. In other words, reality is always more complex, and we will see a beautiful example of this later on. The crucial thing is then to test our complex model. How we do that? Drilling a well, of course. The result of the well needs to be evaluated. It is not an easy task, as there are many factors to take into account. I will focus only on the part of the evaluation that deals with the epistemological aspect, of course. In this respect, the evaluation is easy if the result of the well is a discovery. In this case, we can quite confidently say that the model works. Not that it's right, but that works. It is important to remember, though, that all the models are wrong, but some are useful. The model is still a simplification, and even if it works, it will probably be modified later on. On the other hand, if the well turns out to be dry, the evaluation is not that simple. Remember, the model is a very complex one. So, yeah, the model doesn't work, but which part specifically? If we know that the model works at play level, and we know that because there are discoveries in the same area, or in other words, successful wells targeting the same play, then we can possibly update the model and test it again with another well. If the play doesn't work, the most probable outcome is that the model will be abandoned. Obviously, this decision is also influenced by economic and strategic considerations that are beyond the scope of this presentation. This slide and what I've said so far clearly shows that I'm not a naive falsificationist. I'm fully aware of the logical problems related to falsificationism, and so was Popper himself, in my opinion. But this is another problem that will take hours to discuss. I hope I can do it in another occasion. A beautiful example of a model update is the one from Booth and Moore 2003. This paper explained the history of the discovery and the presence of the Safa field in Oman. I'm not going into the details of the paper, of course. What I would like to stress here is that from this paper it's clear how a simple exploration model became more and more complex as time passes and more data are collected. In my opinion, this is a wonderful example of 2 points that I have already introduced during my presentation. First, all the models are wrong, but some are useful. For example, the exploration model was clearly wrong. It was too simple, right? If you compare this early model with the latest model, you can clearly see that this was wrong, too simple, but it was working. The oil was found, and so the company decided to keep this model and just to update that. The second point is that models are always a simplified representation of reality. Again, I just show that. So I will draw now some conclusion after this, I hope, interesting presentations. I'll let you just some time to read the strip. So, first, pure observation does not exist. We see only what we already know. Second, geology is like every other science from a logical and methodological point of view. We create hypotheses and we test them on reality. Geology is mainly dealing with inverse problem. And what characterizes geology is the difficulty to collect data and to produce experiments. the incompleteness of geological record and the huge amount of time and space requested in order to run an experiment make very difficult, but not impossible, to check the majority of geological theories or models. Through interpretation, we generate a geological model, a hypothesis that we have to check against data. A new well, or a well that we did not use in the model creation, blind test for example. It's the same approach used in solving inverse problems. So interpretation is just a special kind of inverse problem. At the beginning of the presentation, I said that a good teacher is the one who gives no answer, but more questions to the students. In other words, a good teacher gives to the students some input to start a quest, a journey in search of answers. This was also my goal, putting together this presentation. I hope that at least some of you people will be inspired to know better about what I have talked about. This is why, in this slide, I have made a list of references to start with. It's not a complete one, of course, it's just to start. So, with this, we came to the end, and I want to thank you all for the attention and the time you have dedicated to me and to my thoughts. And see you soon. Thank you very much.